Welcome to Guzzler.
Welcome back to Guzzler Extra. This is week 3 of our Marvel series. I mean, at the moment it's a WandaVision series, but we're going to go into sort of Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, all that sort of stuff. So this was episode 5.
Guzzler Extra.
What do you think, boys? Good? Bad?
Big episode, wasn't it?
It was a big episode.
It was
Yeah.
a big episode. It was a really good
fan.
episode. Really good episode.
It was the longest episode so far, so wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was quite long.
34 minutes?
Yeah, it confirmed some of the stuff we'd said. It also went against some of the stuff we said, which I quite liked.
So, should we start from the beginning of the episode? And
Yeah, it's her waking up, innit? Monica Rambeau.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
And she said it was like painful being controlled.
Yeah, she
Yes.
said it was when she entered, she could hear Scarlet Witch's voice. Or she isn't called Scarlet Witch yet, but they've confirmed that she is going to be called that at some point in the series.
The reason that she's not called Scarlet Witch is because Scarlet Witch is actually an X-Men. And when Disney didn't own X-Men, they couldn't call her Scarlet Witch. So that's why we called her Wanda. But now, because of the ending, and now they own Fox and X-Men, it's likely that she...
Spoiler warning, just in case you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
We will talk about what happened in the episode.
It is likely that she'll be called Scarlet Witch after that, because that's why we can never call it, and that's why Quicksilver was always called Pietro instead of Quicksilver, because Quicksilver is owned by Fox and not Disney.
Exactly.
So when Monica is explaining what it felt like to be sucked in, she was saying how it felt like grief, like just darkness and sadness. And there's a scene, it's only a split second, that cuts to Wanda, where she's like crying.
Yeah.
It looks like she's in Westview. And there's an idea that this is in between her picking up Vision and getting to the town. And it might give light to something that happens later in the series about how Westview came about. And it was just... Because obviously the next bit, the director of S.W.O.R.D. shows the video of her picking up Vision from the S.W.O.R.D. facility, which is what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago with the Endgame footage that got deleted.
Yeah.
Obviously, they put that in this, where Wanda goes into the S.W.O.R.D. facility and steals Vision's body. So they think that she has his body, she gets real upset, pent up, and just like explodes energy, and then creates Westview. But that's just a working idea. But obviously the next scene is then talking about that.
Do you think she did, though? Do you think she created Westview in its entirety?
No. And it was what I said about earlier, which we'll discuss later.
I think she did.
'Cause she seemed quite... I know I'm jumping around here, but she seemed quite confused about it.
Yeah, later in the episode, she says she can't remember how it happened. She knows that she controls it, or like most of it, but she can't remember how it started.
I perceive this though, that she's going mental and that she's convincing herself that that this is the actual world and that she can't. This is just her life at the moment. And there's obviously the scene where she leaves her Westview and comes into the normal world, and this is her like she's now. I think she's realising, oh, this is actually just a vision of mine, and not a real thing. And then she's going back in and she's trying to like keep everything in order. She's trying to keep it in her dream. That's how I perceive it.
See,
I think she's definitely playing a part in it. I think she has gone mental, don't get me wrong. Even if someone else started it, she's definitely brought into the idea and has become obsessed with it, and still sees it as like
being her, life
her
now,
world, and that's what she likes. But I don't know if she started it. I think someone else started it.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's a thing where Agnes said in a different episode a comment about how kids are really hard to control. She said no matter how hard you try, you can't control children. Yeah. And then in this episode, they were like...
She said it again, basically.
Because there's no children around, isn't there? And Vision said, where are all the kids?
Yeah, I don't think the kids that she has, I don't think she does control them. I think they're actually like real, and the only real thing there.
They are real.
Yes, I mean they're the only real thing there.
Yeah. What happens next?
I don't know. That's why I'm.
Well, we can say about how
out,
she goes back to her
no,
clothes.
it's the dog, innit?
Well, I was going to mention her clothes first. that she shoots, because it's her bulletproof outfit that when it goes over there, it's made of the same material but becomes something else.
Oh yeah, that's a bit later in it.
I don't know.
Days later, but we can talk about it now.
But
so
she
that
reshapes her things, doesn't she?
That clarified, Deck, what I think you were trying to say to me.
Yeah.
So in my head, the whole time, this town is just the town. That's how it's been, right? So I was like, her powers are already impressive. I didn't understand what you were saying, but you were saying what the characters were saying, where they weren't sure if she actually was changing things or if she was just like in people's heads, making them see it as a different thing. I understand your point now. I get what it's because in my head, it was already certain that she was doing these things, because it just didn't make sense to me that she was changing perceptions. But I get it now. It makes sense.
She's actually physically changing,
which is
reality.
What I just assumed from the start, which is why I was confused.
Yeah. Yeah, but the whole thing, the whole episode had a saturated red colour. I don't know if anyone noticed. You have to zoom in on scenes.
I didn't notice.
And the colour red in the whole episode had higher saturations than all the other colours. So red was a big theme of this episode. Even like around Scarlet Witch's hands or Wanda's hands, the colour red was saturated. So you could see it around her hands if you zoomed in. And this was a really big part. But the next part was with the dog, when the kids are with the dog. But just before that, the babies are crying, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she can't control the babies.
She can't control the
she
babies.
Did try.
Which pays into a belief that because they weren't already there and she like made them, she can't control them.
That's what I think as well, yeah.
Or something around them lines, if you throw in a Mephisto reference, or the fact that they're his shards of his soul, she can't control them because they're more powerful. Something like that. But something very prevalent was the fact that she couldn't control them. And then obviously Agnes comes in and she makes the line that's to me to take it from the top.
Yeah.
So Agnes, we're now finding out, does really know what's going on. Out of everyone, Agnes knows something.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why, but I have convinced myself that Mephisto's not part of this.
How come?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of clues that say there is, but I know that the children are shards of him, and is there 5 or 7 shards, I think, isn't there? With Mephisto,
I don't know.
He breaks himself down, and I know that's how she becomes she has this breakdown and stuff. But I don't know. I've just convinced myself that it's not anything to do with him, and I just think that she's the villain. I think this is all her doing. She's the villain. The
thing is, I get why, because Marvel are really good at throwing people off the scent by just really hyping up one thing and then going, surprise, it's this one. But they're making too many references towards him. Like, normally they're just like little hints, but this is like every episode they make a hint towards Mephisto. And my theory was, later in the episode, Wanda says she can't remember how it started. As I told you two earlier, what if Mephisto is a Rumpelstiltskin kind of character that she went to with Vision's body, and she went, I want a life with Vision, a family, all this sort of thing. It was all taken away from me. I want to make a deal. He gives her this. He starts Westview. That's why she doesn't know. He gives her children. That's why she can't control them. And then he's fucking about with it in this deal. Whatever she gave him as part of the deal, that's why reality's collapsing.
I think there's a lot of clues that link to the fact that she is just a villain. Like when they said that she had the ability to kill Thanos, she's the strongest one to do that. That they're hard on the fact that she's just ultimately powerful.
even if someone else set it up, she's still a villain. It didn't change that.
Yeah, she is.
She's still gone mental.
But I think she's the main
into
thing.
it,
I think
she still was
thing.
Obsessed with this world. But I mean, Mephisto, the devil thing is just Mephisto's thing because he's the devil, and deal with a devil's a famous thing, right? In the comics,
Yeah.
it's just people make deals with Mephisto. That's what he is.
The devil all the time. Yeah.
But I don't know. I quite like the idea of her doing it by accident. I like the idea of she doesn't even know she's doing it. But I think there probably is more to it.
All that sort of devil and horror stuff would play into Doctor Strange. Because we know that's already coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And we know that Doctor Strange plays a part in WandaVision later. So it would make sense that he is, or the character at least, is playing a part. How deep that part is yet to be discovered.
Yeah, exactly. He might have just started it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she can't talk. She exits Westview, and comes into the reality for a little while, and then goes back in.
Mm.
That's the first time I've seen anything like that properly from her, or any I know we saw it from Rambo, but from her, the idea that she's leaving and going back in. That's odd, isn't it?
That seems
not in a bad way. I'm saying. Yes, it's an odd thing. We haven't seen anything quite like that from her.
And she changes the colour of the thing. She says, "I'm not hiding anymore." She changes the colour of the barrier to red again. I assume this is where the Scarlet is going to come from when they eventually name a Scarlet Witch.
I find the origin of the Hex thing weird.
Yeah.
So in the comics,
but I quite like
her powers are called Hex powers, right? They always have been since the 60s.
Witch.
Yeah,
you get hexed
because
by
Hex.
witches,
Yeah, exactly. I find it weird that they've started calling it just because of the hexagons. That seems really weird.
But I quite like that. But it's like that fella in Spider-Man when they use tech instead of magic, like all the drones.
Mysterio.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
Mysterio was never magic in the comics.
But
he was a
the way
special
they
effects
did
specialist. His thing's always been special effects.
Oh, but the way they did it all with all the drones.
Yeah, updating
and
it
the
to drones is
hypertech,
still sick. Yeah, I agree.
That sort of yeah.
I get what you mean though. I do. I like the but I don't know. I just think
the Hex thing is like a throwaway comment in it. It feels like they just have to have
it's
an
quite nice for
explanation,
comic book
so
fans as well. To be fair, I'll give them that. But
I think this. I haven't read this because I'm trying to keep away from everything I'm reading, but because of the ending, I think somewhere at the end they'll have like Professor X or Magneto come in, and I think they'll address her as Scarlet Witch. That's what I think Scarlet Witch will come about.
Magneto makes sense.
It's gonna be interesting how they tie that all together, because that Quicksilver is a mutant, like a proper mutant. Evan Peters Quicksilver. They're Magneto's children in that world, and they are in the comics as well. But in the MCU, it wasn't like that at all. So I'm really and Scarlet Witch is never mentioned in the X-Men films. So did Evan Peters even know? Exactly. I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah, because let's talk about the ending then. The cool thing about the ending is, actually, I'll mention as well, because the one thing I do look up is what TV shows they're based off of each time, because I think that's an interesting thing. And the TV show that's based off this time, I can't remember what the name of it
It's Fuller House, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two, isn't there? There's Fuller House and another one.
Full House.
And one of them is the Olsen twins was in this TV show where they played two young babies. Fuller House, but they played the Olsen twins were in it, and it's about uncontrollable twins. And then obviously in this one there's two uncontrollable twins, and I like that idea that it was back to the Olsens again. I thought that was cool. The ending, which was technically an after credit scene, wasn't it? Because the credits had rolled for her. So
in her scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's an after credit scene. That was, I mean, I suppose it was a bit of a shock. However, I'd seen it leaked anyway. But in my head, I still want Aaron Taylor Johnson to come back as like a memory or something of her. But I'd love him to come back just to be there. But the idea of him not coming back is the fact that she can't control the dead. She can't bring the dead back.
You'd be gutted if you were Aaron Taylor Johnson, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah,
you were like, I'm going to be the MCU Quicksilver. He probably knew he was going to die, but he probably thought it's a big universe. Like I could, things could happen to me. I could come back or whatever. And then they bring in a different actor. He was freaking fuming.
Yeah. I think that is.
The thing is,
I know that people said it's nice that he's in it because it links the two things together. Like, yeah, but it's also nice if you brought Aaron Taylor Johnson back because he's in the MCU.
Vision isn't dead, is he? Because technically he's just a robot. So technically they could just bring him back. It's not like there's a soul in there. They literally just made a body stuck
But they did
Vision.
put a soul in there, didn't
Did
they?
we put
That's
he had
what
the
I did.
soul stone in
They
him.
did put a soul in there.
But they said that if they removed it, there's still a whole lot of Vision
There's
left.
a lot of
They
Vision
said
left.
that.
They did say that, yeah.
Specifically said that. So is Vision really dead?
Yeah.
They did.
Well-
They did write that on the whiteboard. To be fair,
And he also says he doesn't remember anything about his life at all before Westview.
but that's her playing with his mind.
Is it though?
I
Might
think
be.
I view it as he's just a puppet, and she's just imagining everything that he's doing. She's just convincing herself that he's alive. That's how I see it.
Maybe.
I think everyone else in the Westview sees him as a dead person. They see him as dead.
Yeah,
With
but
the hole in his head. That's
like-
how I think everyone else sees him.
But if that was the case, then everyone else would look as they normally do, like modern day, wouldn't they? She's literally warping the whole
but
reality
the other day
of the whole town.
The other day, though, she literally saw him as like dead again, and she blinked and it was gone.
But that's
Is-
because
you said that everyone-
that was her little breakdown when she was arguing, that she lost concentration,
Maybe.
and then that reality warp changed.
Yeah.
Cause obviously, the end credits at the end, when they keep arguing, that's because Vision was arguing with her, so she loses her concentration, and instead of cutting the TV show, it carries on, and we get to see Pietro come in at the end. But that should have ended there. It should have ended at the credits. But because Vision was arguing with her, it disrupts her train of thought, and she can't think about warping reality if she's trying to have an argument with Vision. Same idea. She was arguing with Monica. Vision walks in, she's distracted, sees Vision dead.
Yeah, I get that.
Maybe so.
What are the other things I was going to add? I was going to talk about the dog quickly, just because I know the dog from the comics. I mentioned this to Louis earlier.
Right.
Sparky.
Right.
So as soon as they mentioned his name, I was like, he's definitely. I've seen that dog somewhere. I know that dog. And he's from. I thought he's from a series called Vision, which is a comic series which was written by Tom King, who's just finished writing Batman. Do you know anything about the Vision comic series? Yes, he creates a wife and some kids for himself. His kids are called Vin and Viv, which is just horrible.
Original.
And yeah, in the comics, they kill the Grim Reaper and bury him in the garden, which is similar to what we're seeing in the credits of Thingy. And then Sparky's the next door's neighbour dog who digs up the Grim Reaper and accidentally
He becomes like
accidentally kills himself.
zombified dogson.
Yeah, and then Vision removes the dog's brain and like reanimates the dog, and then he becomes Sparky the dog. It's just a really random thing for them to chuck into this series, I thought. And then
To
also,
be fair,
it seemed like Sparky was trying to kill himself in the show. Because he zapped himself,
Yeah.
and then apparently he ate poison and killed. I think the dog committed suicide.
Yeah. I think that's an ode, isn't it, to those who know the comics,
Probably,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's like a.
the dog also
There's
looks
no
like
reason why they would put that in there.
the dog from the very first Century comic. I don't know if either of you read that.
I don't think so.
I think
It's exactly the same dog.
the very first Century comic.
Yeah, it's
thought I
by
had read
Liam
the first
Jenkins.
Century comic,
It
but I
was
don't
written in
remember that.
2000. So the way they introduce Sentry is that he's Robert Reynolds, not the Sentry at the time. He's forgot who he was. Goes downstairs because he thinks the dog's talking to him. Obviously, Robert Reynolds in the comics has schizophrenia.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
He goes downstairs, kills his dog because he thinks his dog is the Void, and then his wife comes down, says, "You've killed the dog," and then he goes and injects himself with a super serum and becomes the Sentry, tries to then go and fight the Void, but obviously he is the Void and it all goes wrong.
Is that anything to do with
I'm
this
sure
dog?
I read the first Century.
No, but it just looks exactly the same. It's just a fun
Fair
fact.
Yeah. What are the other random things it's going to add? Oh, I realised, I spoke about Wiccan and Speed before the kids. I forgot that I've read a comic with Wiccan in it. I don't know why I forgot that, but Wiccan's part of the Young Avengers team, Like the most recent.
He
Well,
is.
Yeah, so I've read it with
Aren't
one of
they
the most
both?
recent teams. You are.
Aren't they both part of the Young Avengers?
Speed has not been around for ages, man. I don't know what Speed's
Oh.
up to at the moment, but Wiccan is, and Wiccan is gay in the comics.
Right.
So this might be Marvel's
Mm.
first. I saw a Pink News thing. People are quite excited that this might be Marvel's first gay hero. He gets married to
Right.
Hulkling in the comics, who's like a young character who has the powers of the Hulk, and they're married. And then also in that Young Avengers team is Loki.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they ever did do a Young Avengers film, it seems like Wiccan would probably tie into that. And then maybe Loki could get involved. I can't remember why, but for some reason in the comics Loki turns himself into a kid. I absolutely cannot remember why. But yeah, he
Batman.
joins the Young Avengers.
So, you know they age themselves up and they
Yes.
can choose to do it. Is Wiccan doing it to both of them, or are they both deciding that they want to age up and doing it
I don't know.
themselves?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
That's a good point though. It might be alluding to their powers, because they haven't mentioned them having powers at all yet.
Because obviously they did it when they aged themselves up to 10, so they could have the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
No one was controlling them. They decided they were going to do it, and then obviously she says, "Don't age when the dog dies."
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they must have control over.
They
how
definitely have
can do
control
it.
over Agent. I agree with that 100%.
So is it just Wiccan doing it?
I mean, I interpreted it when I watched it as them doing it themselves
Together.
for their own choosing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I thought of it as well.
but obviously if he's
Yeah.
Speed, he can't do that. So
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
weird.
Well, apparently next week is the final sitcom one, and after that it's just 3 massive MCU.
It's like
Sort
the
of
finale,
things,
isn't it?
so-
Really.
Yeah.
So is the next one going to be the
Mm.
Modern Family one then? Because we've seen that there's like a
think
Modern
so.
Family one coming up.
Yeah, this must be the Modern Family one. And also, I think that's why Halloween's tied into it, isn't it? Because in Modern Family they always do Halloween really big.
Yeah, and I've seen the Halloween because she wears the proper Scarlet Witch
Uh,
outfit in the Halloween one, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, and he wears the
the
comic
actual
book
Vision
feet.
outfit.
But
yeah.
that's the one where Agnes tells him he's dead, innit?
Yeah.
So that might be why he. Have you both seen the promo for part 2?
No,
Yeah.
All right, I won't say that then.
I'm avoiding everything. I haven't watched any theory videos
Yeah, I'm
either.
avoiding
I've seen
everything
nothing.
No,
Oh,
I haven't.
fair enough.
I'm stopping now because I don't
I'm
want to see
avoiding
anything.
stuff like
And I
that.
don't want to know theories, particularly that I read, because I want it to be like I just want to see it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
My
fair.
theories are just stuff I'm making up off the top of my head.
Okay.
Alright. Nice.
Nice.
Good
Excellent.
episode. Rate it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Crazy show.
it is.
I can't imagine Falcon Winter Soldier
kept
being
complaining.
like this, though.
No.
That was people kept complaining on IMDb that people were rating the series after only seeing one episode, because you can rate the series or the
Yeah.
episode,
Hmm.
and people were rating the series really, really low, and people were like, "You've only seen one episode. Don't. Why would you do that?" Because it got 7.3 the first episode, and people were rating the series like 7 out of 10. But the newest episode's got like 9.5 and stuff like that.
I went back to Jeremy
Because
John's first
people-
video
yeah.
just to see what people were saying again, just because it angers me so
Yeah.
much. You know, it's so boring, nothing happens. Well, it's the first 2 episodes. They're trying to set something up.
Also, I still think the magic.
I
show
think
in
those 2
episode
episodes
two
were
is absolutely
amazing as
fantastic.
well. I kind of miss just having a
And Paul
sitcom.
Bettany, Paul Bettany said on the D23 podcast that his favourite thing to record was the magic show.
Yeah, the magic
I think
show
that's-
is
I think
amazing.
it's so good.
Right, sick.
Bro,
Thanks for listening. See you
thanks
next
very
week.
much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this Guzzler podcast.